Coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
Oh my gosh, if you only knew how much money I spent on it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and
it's a
Prime,
lot.
on Prime days, it's like, yes, I do need that second portable generator. Yes. I do need that new fishing rod and reel combo.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
It is indeed the Making Waves VO podcast, presented by our friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
And there you hear the lovely, smooth tones of Bobby Maxwell. Bobby, how are you this week?
I'm healthy.
Yeah, you had a little bit of a little cough, a little maybe light fever going with that?
I got croup from my grandbaby.
Oh, no.
Adults don't usually get croup. This adult managed to somehow get it.
Oh, no. But you're feeling better now?
Yes, thank you for
Okay.
asking.
Anything exciting going on in the world of voiceover?
I'll tell you what, I don't know what happened. June clicked over, the page in the calendar flipped over, and it's been a great month. I'm so happy because I was worried about April and May.
Yeah, April and May were a little bit slower than I expected too, especially in the automotive world. But yeah, like you said, June has kind of picked up, so that's fun. Bobby, we have a very special guest this week. It is somebody that I had the pleasure of getting to know while in Holland a few weeks back for the J. Michael Collins Euro Retreat.
Any Kev stories that you can share later, Stephanie?
Ooh, maybe so. Well, let's bring her on the podcast. We're going to get to know her even more. She comes from the world of musical theater. She's a voice actor and a podcaster herself. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stephanie Pam Roberts. Hey, friend.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. This was like a total fluke meetup situation. Yesterday I was thinking, I should email Kevin about being on the podcast. And then you wrote back right away and said, how about tomorrow?
And Bobby, I told her, I was like, it's so wild because we had like 2 recordings that were scheduled and they both, one thing happened with one thing happened with the other. And so we were kind of needing this, and it was kismet, I guess.
Yeah, it was.
Stephanie, please meet my good dear friend Bobby Maxwell, and we call each other work spouses because we work together so often, and then we do the podcast together. But please meet each other.
I love that. Nice to meet you. And I've heard your podcast before, so I feel like I know you a little bit, but nice to officially meet you.
So are you in New York or Chicago?
Yeah, I'm in New York, just outside the city in Westchester.
Okay, awesome.
Very nice. Well, let's get into this, and let's get into the world of Stephanie Pam Roberts. First question is, Stephanie Pam Roberts, is that a professional thing using all the names there?
Yes. So as you said, I was a musical theater actor, and when I joined Equity, there was already a Stephanie Roberts. And so they were like, you have to use a middle name or a middle initial or change your name. And so I did. I added the middle name, just sort of like whatever. And then when I started voiceover, I was kind of doing both at the same time. So I just kept it. And now it's just stuck. And everyone's like, oh, is your middle name Pamela? And I'm like, no, just Pam. So here we are. But my married name is a little bit difficult to pronounce. And so I just kept it easy and kept it going with Stephanie Pam Roberts.
You should have got you a slick stage name. Hi, this is Destiny Star.
Yeah.
Well, here's a funny story. So my grandfather on my dad's side was actually a performer in the big band era. He sang, he played upright bass, violin, and his name, so my real family last name is Layovsky. And at the time they were like, that sounds pretty Jewish, and maybe we want to change that to be a little bit, more white bread. So he picked Roberts out of nowhere, and so that's why my name is Roberts.
That's crazy. That's
Do you know
a wild
the other
story.
one? Do you know the other Stephanie Roberts?
No.
She's out there, though. She's out there.
You should stalk her.
I mean,
You took my name.
There's a Stephanie Roberts who's like a interior designer or something. I feel like I found that out at some point, and I was like, all right, well, I guess it's good to have the Pam just part of it.
Yeah, might as well. I want to get into the history a little bit. We're going to hear a fun, nightmarish type recording session story from Stephanie a little bit later, by the way. There's a tease for you. But I want to get back into your history a little bit. Going back to 2009 or so, I guess, what was it that clicked that you said, first of all, tell me what you're doing in musical theater, and then what clicked in 2009 that's made you go, I think I want to quit musical theater and just pursue voiceover?
Yeah, so voiceover was something that I'd always kind of been interested in, but didn't really know much about. And, as a kid, I grew up with cartoons and Disney movies, and I always wanted to be the voice. But when you're a musical theater person, I feel like it might be different now. But when I moved to the city, it was like you had to be straight ahead. You had to spend all your time and energy and money and resources on musical theater related things. And so I was going along pretty well. Got my equity card at the end of 2008, and I thought, like, okay, next stop, Broadway. And then the economy crashed, and suddenly all of these people who were on Broadway were now out of work and going to regional theaters. And so those of us who were in that regional theater, cruise ship type of circuit, kind of got pushed down to nothing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I didn't work at all in 2009, and I thought, this is the pits. Like, something has to change. And my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, was like, why don't you just take a voiceover class? Like, give it a try. And I was like, all right, let me try. So I took a class. My very first class was with Roger Becker, who, if the listeners don't know, is amazing and has become an agent, but maybe still does some classes. Anyways, he's awesome.
I just did a class with him last week.
Yay!
What?
Yeah. He
Yeah,
was
crazy.
amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
he's great.
And
it
who's
was
he with?
Access.
Access. Yeah.
Okay.
This was at the end of 2009, so it was like, I was living in the city, we were in person, obviously, and so I did that class, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. Like, I think I like this, and I was getting positive feedback, or really any feedback, for the first time literally all year. And so it kind of really sparked my interest. And then my husband got the opportunity to move to San Francisco to mix Wicked. So he's a sound engineer, which is very lucky.
I was teasing Bobby about what your husband did. I'm like, wait till you hear what her husband does.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he's a sound engineer for Wicked. Wicked, Bobby.
That's amazing.
In New York.
So I know. So he got the opportunity to go to San Francisco and mix the show there while it was still a sit-down production there. And I was like, all right, I'll go too. And I left all my musical theater stuff behind, and I thought this is a good chance to kind of see what life is like without it. And I learned that I didn't really miss it all that much. Wow. And I found an amazing studio in San Francisco called Voice One, which is still there, and took a bunch of classes, and again, just like got a bunch of stuff under my belt in terms of training. And then when we moved back to the city at the end of 2009, so we were there almost the whole year, I was like, I think I'm going to pursue voiceover now and not do musical theater and wait online at 6 o'clock in the morning for an audition. And that was it. And then, that was like the very beginning of the home studio craze. Mm-hmm. And every class I took was like, and maybe you should build a home studio. And my husband, Josh, was like, oh, with this microphone, and here, let me help you. And here's Pro Tools, and I'll teach you how to use it. So,
wow.
So I do credit him for the kind of the beginning of that knowledge of how to be a voice actor who has a home studio, knows how to use it. And then it just kind of went from there, and I've never looked back.
Does he do anything like demos for you or produce your the spots that you self-tape or anything like that?
Yeah, does he produce anything for you, Stephanie?
Not
like
really.
Podcasts or anything?
No, well, that's not true. He does do the podcast. He really helps me like mix and master everything to make it sound great. Because, as you guys understand, like as a voiceover podcast, it has to sound good. So he really does help with that. And every now and then he'll sit in and be like a second ear on an audition. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning he was, he helped me kind of like learn how to do some shortcuts in Pro Tools and learn how to edit. But yeah, no, he mostly does live sound, which he says is, very different.
Oh, yeah. and it's more thrilling, more dangerous.
Yes.
Almost. You're on a tight wire the whole time.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen Wicked?
Oh my gosh. I counted once recently, and it was a lot. It was like 12 or 13.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Might be more. I don't know. Yeah.
You don't want to miss what's next. Making Waves returns momentarily.
Hey everyone, David Toback, COO of the Global Voice Acting Academy, also creator of the GVA Rate Guide and a voice actor, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast.
Oh, Bobby.
Yes, Kev.
I am so excited. Summer's here, right? And it is time for dancing in the streets because we're going to celebrate with Full Compass. Our good friends at Full Compass are having an amazing sale.
I remember this last summer, and I thought it was pretty cool, and I think we talked about it then, but it's their annual center stage sales event. And I just got the email about it this morning. I went, this is the time where you can get savings over 75% on some really cool brands that are out there. I mean, microphones alone are pretty cool, Kev, on the savings you can get.
Are you okay with me just kind of recounting what just happened a minute ago when you asked about this?
Yeah.
So Bobby, Bobby's blonde, right? So Bobby goes, hey, Kevin, the Neumann U87 AI, is that like a thing in the voiceover world?
I did not say that.
She didn't say that. She didn't say it that bad. But I was like, oh, she's so cute. She's so naive about what we work with. No. She's like, Kevin, the Neumann U87 AI is on sale for $2,699 at Full Compass. I'm like, shut your face. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
She's like, yes, it is. It's right there on the site. So that's 40% off.
That's a restock item, but still, yeah, that's a huge savings on one of the most desirable microphones in voiceover.
Yeah, it's a restock item, but it's going to go through all the quality controls and all these things, and you're still going to get an amazing warranty on it as well. Full Compass backs everything, but my goodness, yes, check out their big sale, their center stage sale, and it's going on through when, Bobby? And what about the giveaway?
Oh, yeah, you have to, while you're on their site, fullcompass.com, you have to click on their grand prize giveaway. They did this last year, too. Over $11,000 in equipment that you could win. So check it out, fullcompass.com, because it's not going on forever.
You can call them at 1-800-356-5844, or again, you can go on to www.fullcompass.com. fullcompass.com.
We know VO. Sale goes through June 30th, by the way.
Making Waves returns. Bobby, check this out. So Stephanie, while in Holland, while we had this deep conversation, talking about all this stuff, talking about Wicked and her husband, you know me, Bobby, and I was getting excited about that. And so Stephanie said, this doesn't go out just for the special people like Kevin can get a backstage look at what's going on in the sound department at Wicked. Is that offer still okay for me, Stephanie?
Absolutely.
Okay. Also,
now everybody's going to want it.
You know what else she said, Bobby? And she said, Kevin, I can also get you on stage with a few lines during the performance.
What?
I did not say
I think
that.
you said lead, I think. You said late. Yeah.
Some people during Broadway Cares, which is like a fundraiser that happens twice a year, they do auction off like a walk-on role. And some people pay quite a lot of money for it. Yeah.
That is wild. Now, and of course, I'm joking about all that part, but I say all that to talk about theater and moments in theater. And I understand, Stephanie, that you had a pretty intriguing meet and greet in London at a theater.
Oh, yes. Wait, were you at the...
You don't worry about what I know. You just tell me what you know now.
Okay, well, yes. So we were in Holland, and we had a fancy lunch, like a 3-course lunch. Every meal is fancy with J. Michael, but this meal, the lunch was fancy at a different chateau than the chateau we were staying at. And I don't know who asked the question, but somebody asked, what is your favorite, do you have a crazy, famous person story? And so I told the story of I studied in London second semester my junior year with my musical theater program from Ithaca College. And we saw This Is Our Youth with Matt Damon and 2 other people. I can't remember because we saw it twice. And after the show, we tried to get his autograph, and he had left. And so we went back the next day, and we just rang the doorbell of the stage door, and the guy let us back. And he was like, "Can I help you?" And we said, yes, we would like to meet Matt Damon, please. And he was like, okay, hold on one second. And he came back and he's like, well, Mr. Damon isn't available today, but if you come back tomorrow, you can meet him at 1 p.m. Just don't bring anybody else. And we were like,
What?
Okay, sure. And then so we went back the next day. We rang the doorbell and Ian, the stage doorman, let us back. And he's like, oh, you're back. And we were like, yes, to meet Matt Damon. And he was like, okay, wait right here. And we just stood in this like stage door alley for a few minutes, and then out walked Matt Damon, finishing a cigarette. He was like, hey, how's it going? We're like, hey, Matt Damon, we're doing great. And my friend who was with me is from Boston, so they had a whole thing. And he was very generous, spent so much time with us chatting. And and so we took pictures, like hard copy pictures, because it was 2002, 2001. Immediately got them developed. And yes, it's a treasured possession of mine now.
No,
I'm sure.
That's so wild.
But I actually have a follow-up voiceover story to go with it. So every year I do some, it's not really live announce, it's pre-recorded, but I do announcements for World Leaders Federation through Columbia. And this year I announced Matt Damon.
Oh, wow.
No.
I wasn't there, which was a real bummer, but I announced, it was like, please welcome to the stage, Matt Damon. And I was like, this is a real full circle moment.
I
That
know
is
him.
crazy.
I know that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Do you do audiobooks? You have just the perfect voice for it. I can hear it.
Oh, thanks. No, you know what? It's a genre that I've never done. It's like one of the only genres I've never even tried.
Is that because like, how hard it is and all the labor involved?
Yeah. And I feel like I don't have the brain for it. My acting brain wants to do it, but just the practicality of it just feels like it's a lot. And
So
I
what do
admire
you
the
work
people
on?
who do. Mostly commercials and some kids products and kids media stuff. And then, the internal corporate narration, explainer type videos as well.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Where do you get these opportunities?
So I freelance with a few agents across the country regionally, and then I recently got connected with a New York agent, which oddly was like a hole in my business for a while. It was like one of those things that things were just going along, and one day I kind of looked and was like, I'm not really getting that many opportunities from my New York agent, and maybe I need to investigate working with someone else. And then it just kind of came to pass that I had taken a workshop with someone and started working with them, or had followed up with them. And then they contacted me and was like, we'd like to work with you. So even for people who have been in the business a long time, sometimes there's just these weird little holes that you're like, wait, what? I'm only getting one audition a week from my New York agent. That's weird. So even I feel like, once we've been in the business for a while, you still have to kind of reassess and take note of things.
Yeah,
100%.
definitely.
I do pay to plays as well, so that's still there as part of the business. I feel like the pay to plays are what they are, and if you can go into them accepting that, it's a much more sane and successful way to do it. If you're going to be mad about them and how they work, then it's not gonna go well.
Just, like you said, just go into it with that mindset of knowing that, hey, they're going to suck some cash, but they have opportunities I want.
Yeah, definitely.
What up, what up? It's Erica J. Voice actor, singer, writer, water snob, and tired mom. Here on the Making Waves podcast with Kevin and Bobby. Because the Making MP3s podcast just doesn't have a good ring to it at all.
So Kevin tells me you have a pretty prime gig. Are you able to share that?
Oh, yes. Good. I like that pun, that play on words there.
Yeah.
Yes. So for the past few years, I have been the voice of the Amazon Prime Big Deal Days, and there's Prime Day in the summer, and Big Deal Days, I think, is in the fall. So it's kind of like two versions of the same campaign. Yeah.
I knew Bobby would know it. Because she's a shopper.
Yes, I have friends who are like, stop telling me to buy things.
Oh my gosh, if you only knew how much money I spend on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and
it's a
Prime,
lot.
you just, on Prime Days, it's like, yes, I do need that second portable generator. Yes.
Yes.
I do need that new fishing rod and reel combo.
Yes.
Yes. I do need
I
that
know.
70 pack of triple D batteries.
Well,
You know
Kevin,
what
I don't remember if I told you this in Holland, but when we were talking about it, I'm not sure if it came up, but there was, it was part of the campaign last year. I think it was the radio ad. It was like a whole list of, you could buy this or this or this and this. And we finished recording. There were like 20-something alts. And when we finished, the copywriter was like, okay, anything else we can think of? And we literally all just like quick fire were like, oh, what about skis? And so then there were, I don't know what got used, but it was a very, very funny, because that was the whole point, was like Amazon literally has everything. So it was like skis and diapers and just a bunch of like really random non sequiturs together.
What a fun collaborative session, though.
Yeah. And I think it's so weird because we never know. I feel like we never know the in between, like who's talking about us and being like, oh, we got to get Bobby back for that commercial that she did. Like, we need a new version of it. And I recently did the session for this year. Hopefully it will make it to air, because it'll come out whenever Prime Day is going to start, which I don't know if they've released the dates yet.
They have.
It's very top secret. Oh, they have.
They have, because they just started running ads. LeBron James is pimping it. And
yes.
it's happening, I want to say July, like 7th or 11th or somewhere in there.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
Sounds right, yes.
Yeah. But I saw the new ads with LeBron when I was watching sports last night.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
they usually put the ones with me a little bit closer to where it's just, they're much more generic. I listened. I was like, am I gonna be? Because last year was a different celebrity. I think it was Megan Thee Stallion last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, am I in this? And no, it was just her.
I actually listened for you, but there was no tag. It was just LeBron the whole way. And this must have just dropped, as the kids say, yesterday, because as of this recording yesterday, because I just did a quick search and all these things pop up 13 hours ago. So yeah, so we're right. We're as timely as today's headlines.
Amazing. Look at us.
So was that the original gig through your agent or pay to play?
Through my agent. So I had, this is also like a weird voiceover story. So I've been with my agent in LA for a very long time, and years ago, like 2018, maybe 2019, there was an audition for Amazon just for their normal commercials. I think their original campaign was Spend Less, Smile More, or something like that. And so I auditioned, and then I got like not a callback, but like, hey, we really like you, but like we want you to re-record something. So I did. And then they were like, you booked it. And then they were like, oh, no, actually, we're going to go a different direction. Oh. And then like 3 days later, they're like, just kidding. We're going to go with you. We're going to go with you. So it was a roller coaster. And so I recorded spots for them like almost quarterly for a while. And then that stopped in 2020. And then randomly out of the blue, again, like who knows which department, because all these big companies have so many people and copywriters and producers and departments and production companies that they work with. My name must have gotten passed to somebody from another, from these previous jobs. And it was like April of 2020 maybe, or May. And they were like, hey, can you do a sound check with the studio in London because they want to maybe use you for a new Amazon campaign? And I was like, sure. And my agent was like, can you do it now? And I was like, sure. So I jumped in the booth and I did it. And then she was like, great, they're going to book you for tomorrow. So just hold tomorrow.
Nice.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like how crazy, this giant campaign, no audition, no nothing. Again, like who knows how my name got from point A to point B, but I'm very, very thankful that it did. And then they've called me every year. So knock on wood, hopefully this year it gets to the final spots. And the guy that was the engineer on the session was like, oh man, it's weird to hear you in real life live because I've mixed you so many times. So he's just heard me say like the same, 20 words over and over again for these spots. And so he was like, it's weird to hear you say like, hi, how are you?
A real person.
Yeah.
Behind all of that. Do you do any singing at all in spots or any kind of voiceover related fields? Any
Sometimes. I feel like some
What have you
kid
done?
stuff. I've done like like had to do things in various little kid products, but not as much. I wish I did it more. Although I do feel like after bearing children, one child, my voice has definitely changed a little bit. And just not practicing as much singing wise, but it's fun when I get to do it.
Okay.
Very cool. So I hear you you have your own podcast.
Yeah.
So how's that going? And is it a voiceover podcast?
Yes. So it's called Making It to the Mic, and I started it during the pandemic, where we were all kind of wanting connection and something to do. And so it originally started as a voiceover podcast about how people got to where they are today in their careers. So season 1 was that, and I interviewed, some of our faves, Karin Gilfrey and Maria Pendolino. Season 2, I made Behind the Mic, so I did a bunch of like agents and casting directors and people like that. Season 3 was other voice actors again, and season 4, which I did last year. I haven't gotten a super regular schedule yet. I kind of do it when the spirit moves me, but. I interviewed people who made $100,000 or more in voiceover. And I thought for sure it was going to be all commercial people. And boy, was I wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fascinating. It was audiobook people, video games, animation, people who primarily work in commercials. But yeah, I was really surprised with how diverse the kind of pool of people was. And it was really fun, and I love it. I love connecting and getting to talk to other actors and see how people are running their businesses. But as you guys know, it's time consuming. So sometimes, when the season's over, I'm like, whoo, okay, need a little break, and then pick it back up again. So
very cool. Well, you should have me and Bobby on sometime.
I would love to.
If you're ever needing a guest, we are available. What's your next big goal? What's next up for Stephanie? Do you have anything you want to conquer in the voiceover world?
That is a great question. I think, a performance goal I would really love to do. I mean, like everyone, I feel like, but I'd really love to do something in an animated series. It doesn't even have to be like a big name project or anything, just like some sort of animation.
Oh, bet.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then my like not so performance related goal is I would love to be on a panel at a conference or, part of a conference, but on the other side.
So how was Holland for you attending a J. Michael conference? What did you walk away with?
Oh man, it was amazing. I've been to very few conferences. I've actually never been to VO Atlanta or another Euro retreat or anything. So this was the first time I met J. Michael in person, which just feels weird because he feels like a friend because, we all know who he is. So VO Atlanta seemed a little overwhelming in terms of the number of people. And so I was like,
it's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. I had been to Vocation Conference when it was in New York City in 2019, right before the pandemic. And it was amazing. And I had so much fun. I was like, I want to do this again. And then, obviously pandemic and everything shut down. So they haven't done another one in person. So I just felt like it was incredibly worth the money because you're totally taken care of when you're there. And I don't mean just like you have a hotel room. I mean, you are taken care of. No detail too small. Like everything is so beautifully perfect and done. And they really put a lot of thought into how to make the experience great for the participants. And you get 2 demos from J. Michael. So I feel like that alone is, part of the appeal of the spending the money.
Yeah, and the presenter information.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think,
really, really good.
I think if you totaled up how much each of those panels would have cost by itself, already you're kind of right there with the price of the trip.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved it. I loved the idea of it being a small group of participants and the fact that we got to hang out and, just mingle and meet with the people that are that are the presenters in a very relaxed way, in a way that felt like we could get to know them as humans, as opposed to just like, I'm sending an audition to this agent and I'm nervous. It was kind of like, oh, I had dinner with that guy last night. Okay, cool. It just...
He loves French fries.
Yeah.
He loves French fries.
So much French fries. So many French fries. That should be noted. A lot of French fries.
Oh my gosh, too funny.
In the Making Waves VO podcast, we'll be right back.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. I, on the other hand, am Eric Romanowski of Ear Blowing Audio, and I don't know the first thing about podcasts, other than that you should keep listening to this one.
As a voice actor, you want to focus on what's important, right? Like pulling off the perfect read. You don't want to stress about tech stuff. That's why Full Compass is in your corner. With 50 years experience in pro audio, Full Compass has everything we voice actors need. Mics, headphones, monitors, mixers, interfaces, DAWs, all the goodies. And their certified product experts help with everything they sell. Plus, you can get free same-day shipping, flexible financing, and a low price guarantee. See it all at fullcompass.com. Fullcompass.com. They know VO.
Now back to the podcast.
So we kind of teased a little while ago about a nightmare session story from Stephanie, and we talk about nightmare sessions. They could be sessions that have gone horribly wrong. It could be a technical issue, or maybe they just got a little weird. I don't know. Stephanie, do you have a nightmare session type story you could tell us?
Nightmare sessions.
Yeah, but you know what's so funny is I had one in my head, but then when you said technical issues, I actually have two.
Yeah,
one
it's fine.
technical
Go for it.
and one weird.
Yeah, save the weird one for the last.
Okay. So the technical one is, pandemic, March 2020. I was supposed to have an in-person session in the city. They were like, hey, we don't think this is a good idea. We're going to move it to virtual. You have Source Connect, right? And I was like, Did not.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead with your story.
Yeah. So I didn't. So I downloaded it and I was like, this is great. This is going to be great. Now I feel like we all know, like, Source Connect can take a minute to set up. But at the time, I was panicked. So I downloaded it and opened it and I was like, okay, great. This looks good. And then I get on the call and it was for a commercial. So it was the engineer and like everybody that was supposed to be in the session, like client and ad agency, who knows, like a bunch of people. And the engineer's like, hey, like, I don't know, I'm getting like weird clicks. Like, let's reconnect. He's like, I don't know. It's still like weird and glitchy. Like, are your ports open? And I was like,
no.
I'm sorry, what? He was like, ports, see where it says port open? Does it say that? And I was like, no. And he was like, okay, so just give us a second. And this man, bless him, we like let the clients go. And for, I don't know, what felt like hours, but was probably like 30 minutes, he walked me through everything and helped me like Source Connect support does and set up everything for me and got the ports open. And so, I mean, like, even to this day, right? Like,
yeah.
Wow.
That's why my ports are open, is because this engineer from a studio in the city was kind enough to be helpful.
Yeah, that was very, very generous.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That is pretty wild. Yeah, that's a nightmare because you were probably just like, just sweating bullets and cringing and all the things.
And I was so embarrassed too because I was like, oh yeah, we just download this program and it works. But now we know that that's not the case. But at the time it was like, what do you mean it's not working? I don't know. You just push a button, right?
Yeah.
And that's the nice thing about Source Connect 4. You don't need to have ports.
Yes.
So what happened with the weird... Okay, what happened with the weird story? What happened with the weird recording story?
Yes. Okay, so I guess this was 2016. I did a project that was a TTS project, text to speech. It was a whole thing. Anyways, I read thousands and thousands and thousands of sentences for this project, and I had to go into a studio in New York, and it was just me and the engineer for like 3 to 4 hours at a time reading sentences. And, some of them were prompts that were going to be used. It was for a phone. So some of them were prompts that were going to be used in the phone. That seemed to make sense, like, click here for your pictures. Some of them were like, furniture stores are reporting that couch sales are up this week. Just thousands and thousands of sentences, because back before AI and all that got really good, they needed I forget what the whole scope of the project was. I think it was 60,000 sentences or something to make it sound human. But one day I came in. I didn't typically get the scripts that far in advance, maybe just a couple of hours. So one day it's just me and the engineer. And the script was not safe for work words,
Oh.
to put it lightly. And so I felt very uncomfortable. And he also felt very uncomfortable. And he was like, okay, let's just get through it. And so I read it was 3 or 4 pages of just fairly pornographic sentences.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
And it was really weird. And I feel like now I probably would have been I'm not reading these. We could leave these out. But at the time I was I don't know. I guess we'll just read them. And it was weird. It was.
They didn't warn you ahead of time that there was some salty language or anything?
No,
like that?
I don't even know if they knew, because they were compiling these documents, huge, 68-page Excel documents of just random sentences from the internet to get all of the bits and pieces that they needed. So I don't even know if anybody consciously knew haha, we're going to throw in this porn.
That's crazy.
It was weird. Yeah, that's my weird one.
So you may be in an erotica book out there?
No, I don't. I hope not. No, it was for, so I don't know if I still am, but I was one of the voice options on Samsung's phones. I was one of the Bixby options, it's their version of Siri and, Alexa and all that. But this was
cool.
in I think it was finished in 2017, so that's when it came out. But I think they've since changed the options. I'm not sure if I'm still there.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was weird.
Wow.
You do have a very varied selection of genres there. That's so cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that one was that was from a cold email actually to the studio, and the studio kept my stuff on file and then was like, "Hey, we have this audition for you." So, never know where that cold email is going or who's filing it away, and to bring it back at some point.
Well, Stephanie, this has been so much fun.
Yay,
if people
thank you
wanted
so
to
much.
you're welcome. If somebody wanted to reach out to you to talk about voiceover work, maybe book you for that next big Amazon Prime gig or something, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so my website is stephaniepamroberts.com, and then Making It to the Mic is my voiceover podcast. And there's 4 seasons available to listen to. Lots of different people from all over the world and all different genres. So some really fun guests on there, and lots of names that people will recognize.
So needless to say, the musical theater thing that you walked away from was a good move for you.
It was. I feel confident about my decision, although I have said that at some point I'd like to do a community theater show, very low stakes type of a, community
Just
theater
to have
musical.
fun?
Yeah, just for fun.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Do you want to exercise some of that now? Get some of that out of your system right now? Anything you want to leave us with?
No.
No?
No thanks.
Oh,
No
man.
pressure. No pressure. Be our guest.
Be our guest. There you go.
So good talking to you.
You
Best of luck
too.
moving
Thank
forward.
you.
Much continued success.
Thanks for you both as well.
Well, that was fun getting to know her. I had gotten to know her pretty well in Holland at the retreat. We spent, they have those meeting rooms where we all gather at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
we just sat there and chatted one time for probably 30 minutes straight about, the voiceover world, life and theater and different things like that. But just a fun guest to have on.
Yeah. It was great to meet her.
Yeah.
She's got an extremely bright future, you can tell.
Yeah, and we're going to be listening for her Amazon Prime ads, too. Yeah.
As if we need marketing on that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, speaking of buying stuff, don't forget that our good friends at Full Compass are having their big sale going on right now for just a little bit longer. And Bobby, guess what I did?
What'd you do? What'd you buy?
I bought a new microphone.
No.
I did.
Which one?
I am talking currently on Now this one wasn't for sale, but I targeted this one specifically. But I am now talking on the Sennheiser MKH 8060. It's that new shotgun mic that is out there. It is the successor, as it were, to the 416.
What made you get a shotgun? Because you want to do more promo?
Well, I've been working mostly on the 416 anyway, and so it's basically, a sexier version of that in a way. It's I don't know. George the Tech and I we were having a chat the other day, and we were talking about it, and he was telling me why it's got certain pluses over the 416. But anyway,
interesting.
I feel guilty in a way, but I'm loving it too. So
well, hopefully you registered for the giveaways that Full Compass is doing too.
I don't.
$11,000.
I don't think because we are sponsors, we're affiliated with them, that we're going to be eligible.
Oh, duh.
So however, all of our listeners can do exactly what Bobby's talking about. Go on and register because they're giving away like $11,000 worth of stuff.
11,000, yeah.
Oh my gosh! So yeah,
fullcompass.com.
Thank you so much, Bobby. Good podcast, lots of fun. Want to do it again in about a week?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.